Hey everybody, welcome to the Spinnerrack. And man, do we have news? Do we have news? Do we have news? I'm here with my boy Petey. Say what's up, Petey.
What's up?
We got breaking news. This interview between Oprah Winfrey, Meghan, Harry. Oh my goodness, about the whole royal family. I don't know what to say what I just saw. I know typically we don't cover this type of stuff, but whoa. All I gotta say is that, some things hit the fan and wow. Basically in this interview, Meghan is trying to explain, that what happened to her while she was in England when she got married to Prince Harry, and what the goony goo goo was going on, and how her world changed. There's been a lot of comment over the last couple of weeks as to, oh, she should have been able to handle this. What should she expect? And she's irresponsible for doing this. But this interview really killed it. It basically tells us that, she felt trapped in a situation she was in, and her husband felt that history could repeat like his wife Diana. So look, I
His
know.
mother.
I'm sorry, his mother. So I don't want to go over this whole thing, but I'm going to just highlight some main points with PD. So I'm going to go to PD. PD, what are some of the most interesting facts that you saw come out of this craziness here?
Well, this is was a more grueling interview, not as lightweight as the Chappelle interview that Oprah did years back. And she basically asked her some tough questions, and we found out that basically once Meghan was in play, I guess somewhere after their Australia, when they're going into Australia, they basically had no protection from the press. And this was alarming for them since they had a party for the press, in their home. They were able to see the press get this party from the royals. And they kind of talked about the royals as if it was a business, like it was the firm. And it felt like, the only thing matters is the firm or the royal family. So the thing of it is being attacked by the tabloids, saying a lot of things, and then them reacting to the tabloids, and then them getting slammed even more, or more so, Meghan getting slammed even more, even to the extent of causing her to feel that she had nowhere else to turn. Oh, well, there that goes. Oh, you're still here. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we had that, and then we also had, I guess, the bombshell of it, which wasn't necessarily a bombshell for me, was them saying what would be the complexion of the baby. And this is one of the things I've experienced when I first moved to Jersey. Not to say that there's no, not to talk about racism as a whole, just the aspect of someone, in my opinion, this is what it was. People are going to take it differently because of, ultimately a person of her complexion, right? They're looking at it, and that's the hard thing to say. They're attributing that the baby is going to become a darker complexion because there's some black in her, and that's going to cause the baby to have this thing. And it's just, in my mind, that's very much a race reminder, because that's what I would get, where people would say things to remind me that I'm a black person when I wouldn't necessarily turn to white people and say that I was black. I was just living my life, and then someone would try to say something with some sort of accent or that sort of thing, or attribute something of color, of darker complexion to me. And I'm like, the difference between me and so the white people that I knew at that point, maybe since, I've been protected from the sun, I'm even lighter than I was when I was younger. But it's like, I don't have that much color for anyone to be attributing any color to it. So I know that's going to be the tougher thing, but it's just one of those racial reminders. So this is one of the things that all pressure came down on them, and they got some help, I think they said, from Tyler Perry, and to help them figure out what they were going to do and in this time. So, it's one of those things where they're in the buzz, they're in the, they're buzz, and everyone wants to find out about them, and they want to find out if she caused this and she wanted to pull him away from the, from the royals. And you find that basically they just wanted protection from the press, to give them a break, And since they weren't playing with the press and not showing the baby, things got worse. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just astounding some of the things that you hear coming out. I mean, I'm not even sure how to describe it. I mean, there are points where they're trying to say that, hey, it's could this have been like, I mean, could this have been recent like this? I mean, look in the article, what we're basically seeing is they're talking about they're talking about uh, are they are they I'm sorry, I'm just so totally tongue twisted by this thing. Like, can you really believe in this day and age that they would go through this whole thing with the royal family, and after the thing that happened with Diana, that they wouldn't have improved or changed the process. You don't bring someone brand new straight out the box and say, hey, this is what you have to do. There's no training, there's no nothing, there's no support, it looks like, and say, hey, you're basically on your own. And then on top of that, you don't want to say it, but you don't when you see Markle, you don't see her naturally as black, of course, right? But
what do you mean?
the racism that
What do you think you don't see her naturally as black?
I'm saying, your first impression of her, you don't say she's a black woman right away, right?
That's not the case. Come on,
Okay. So look,
this is not this is the constant argument.
hold on. Let me
In
finish my
I'm
point.
saying in the black community, yes, they say they want to find out what she is. In that community, they've already figured it out. They know what it is, and they're reminding her of what she is every two
When I
seconds.
first saw Meghan Markle in Suits,
Same with you. I'm saying you,
oh,
not them. They saw her what she was. They didn't need any sort of thing. They already knew what she was, and they're calling it out. Else they wouldn't worry about what the complexion of the baby was. So you can't put what you think and how
they
everyone else says we need to find out what it is. They saw her as black, and that was it.
got it. I see your point now. But it's also the way they didn't protect her. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, so some of these articles that you see that they like you were just saying before, they have a whole situation with the press whereby um, they have a whole thing where they throw parties for the press. So to they need each other. The press basically gets these great stories. They get these great situations where they can have access to the royals, and the royals get all this free press and stuff like that. And you're like, wow, why can't they protect her? Like, here, this story about the avocado morning sickness. Kate morning sickness cure. Prince William's gifted with an avocado for a pregnant duchess, and then they turn it around. The same newspaper, The Express, it goes, Meghan Markle's beloved avocado linked to human rights abuse and drought and millennial shaming. You're like, what the goonie Google is going on? Why would it be so different? But these are the type of articles that kept on coming out and out, and you can see, that the Meghan is like, why are they just like totally hating me? What am I doing wrong? What's going on? And there's no one coming from the royal office or whatever they call it, the Buckingham Palace, and saying, hey, you guys need to cut it. Especially with the relationship that they have with members of the press, saying, chillax with that madness. Don't go through. This stuff is totally wrong. You got it totally wrong. They're like, just keep stuff behind your back and don't work for it. It just sucks, bro. It just totally sucks. You know, I I don't even imagine she stayed there as long as I thought that she did. She would stay because it's like crazy. I would have broken the china and left. I'm trying to say? Broken all the glasses and stuff. Say, I'm out of here, bro. I can't deal with this. And the fact that she was nearly suicidal, and she felt suicidal to the point where, you know, it's a shame. And they're telling her, don't, we just don't have anything, no support. There's nothing here. And to boot, they have the nerve to be doing an investigation on bullying. When you have someone like Prince Andrew had that whole Epstein case, right? The
Mhm.
Epstein case where he was supposedly sleeping with an underage young girl who was being treated like a prostitute. He was down with Epstein for years. That was one of his good friends, and yet that just is quiet. He doesn't lose his honor. He doesn't lose anything. He just was just quiet down. And when people were going after him, the palace was like, "Yo, no, this you guys got this wrong. This wasn't really happening." You're like, "Yo, what's going on, bro? What's going on?" What's your take, Petey?
Well, I mean, the hard part is you know treating someone like an outsider, and that's the thing that's going on here is trying to keep her as an outsider, and this is more interesting, kind of feeling like she took, you know, their royal. Like this person took their royal, and it's an, you know, I guess maybe even though she obviously Diana was loved, then there's always negativity and rumors and all that other stuff about her as things went on. And I don't know. It's just one of those things that's just not. It should have been. It should have been a grace period because you want to have a push pull, but they wanted to have control of it. They want to say, well, you're here, but you can't decide on what's going on. We decide. Us and the Royals decide. So that was hard to hear. Also knowing that with Kate Middleton, she got the royal treatment. She got the rear of the year. She got to be just the basic. Oh, this is just the hottie. Like they just treated as as the beautiful wife. Whereas obviously Meghan Markle is beautiful, but then it's like, oh, this is usurper. She's trying to take him and take our stuff. So we're gonna then the show of strength of removing, all of taking away all of his support. That's really terrible, you know.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it completely sucks, and it's again, it's like, what do you? I'm just, to me, it just seems like a job interview gone bad. You know what I'm trying to say? That they brought someone in and said, hey, you know, sink or swim, basically. Or they didn't like the fact of what happened. Like you were mentioning the Australia trip, that hey, this looks like something that's going to happen with Diana again. So let's not rock with it. But I thought that what one thing that I thought was very interesting was something that Harry brought up, and I don't know if you picked up on it, where he's like, this was a great opportunity to try and change the way the Royals were. You have someone who's of, uh, of mixed race who practically represents a lot of your the Commonwealth that they're part of, right? Where countries that 2/3 of the Commonwealth are people of color, right? You have also a young woman who was a working woman. You have someone who was an actress, someone who was always talking out. This is somebody that you could use, and why not grab that and say, yeah, let's use this. They didn't do that. And so, just to show you a map of the Commonwealth, of nations for the British, where the Queen, a lot of these countries, she's still the Queen of these countries. You have in the Caribbean, you got Jamaica and many of the little island states out there. You have Falkland Islands. You have you have South Africa. You know, Kenya, Tanzania. She's still here. These are all members of the Commonwealth. India. I mean, why not Australia, New Zealand, not Papua New Guinea, but why not take advantage of this? Why not, try and say, hey, you know what? This is a great opportunity to show that we're trying to be inclusive. This is a great opportunity to see someone who's reached out to other demographics, other people, and say, hey, no matter where you are, we are part of one. It reminds me of that whole Brexit argument where they were saying, oh, let's Brexit, let's get away from the rest of Europe. We don't want to be part of them. We want to be who we are. And that's the argument that you come out with. It's just, again, it's just whoever is running the PR for the Queen is just like, yo, they need to be fired. Right.
well, I mean, I think Harry kind of helped her out in the end because he kind of turned it into, he's still talking with his, grandmother, and this is the most he talked with her, and leaving his brother and father as kind of the ones that are towing the line, that aren't bending. So kind of gave her a break in this, where she could have been the one that's talking about the color of the baby.
I think that you have um, look, I think the Queen is an ultimate statesperson, ultimate diplomat. You can't, in that type of places, you have people who they know how to talk to people, right? You know how to be polite. You know how to you know present it in such a way that uh, you 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 you're not going to insult anybody. She's been dealing with this for like what, 60, 70, 80 odd years. So she knows what she's doing. And I'm not saying that she's mean. She's probably a nice, very nice lady. Like she said, like grandmother, she gets along with them. But, the fact that the brother, I could understand the brother. Um, the father is a little bit more unconscionable. The reason I'm saying I can understand the brother is
What
because
can you understand about the brother?
so
What
here
is?
it is, not in terms of the relationship between the two wives. Of course, they're having problems, and naturally, you're going to stick to your wife versus the other. But in terms of, when Harry leaves the royal family, she leaves the royal family. They have a lot of work. They have a lot of engagements. A lot of them have to go to, right? And that's part of the job. That's one of the reasons that the British government pays them to do these type of things and be available to do these type of things. But if they're no longer there, and I think this is the point that they were making, then it falls on other members of the families to pick up the slack. Like, if we're going to go to all these events, it has to be divided amongst others to do these type of things. I think, and so he probably may have felt like a little resentful on that. Like, now, you're going to leave me, and I'll have to do all this stuff. We're brothers and bros. But Harry has to take care of his family. He's like, she's under stress. She's stressed out. She's not doing well. We need to make a change. And according to them in the interview, they're just basically saying, look, we don't want to make a cut. We just want to separate somewhat, like some of the others, step back, have a life, without so much pressure where we have to go here, we got to go to this trip, we got to do this, we want to, like, gel.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and who doesn't want to do that, right? Who doesn't? it's it's just crazy.
Well, it's a. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where you. Well, I mean, what they say is, but that's the thing. What will the spin be tomorrow?
Well,
I
can we
mean,
really believe the spin? I mean, after the crap that they said the other
I'm
day.
not saying. I'm not saying to believe it. I'm saying that you know, it will be a spin. There will be a spin tomorrow, the next day, and trying to put it in terms where people can feel that they're still at the wrong. Oh, they went to Oprah. They didn't go to whatever people feel is the right place for them to go to, rather than say, hey, these guys have a reasonable argument against things. They have a reasonable thing that they're trying to say. So why would we excuse me, why would we take in what they have to account? Well, saying, that she said, I think that they had a loss, a baby, one that didn't, possibly from the stress. But I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, it's like they explain what they did. This idea that the queen was blindsided is still going through these people, and you just have to remember that it's they're two people, and they didn't, saying they signed up for it doesn't mean they get to be run over by the
Punching
press.
bags,
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to show you a letter from a group of women MPs, from that they were concerned, and this is dated what, 2019, that about this whole thing with Meghan. Like, here it is. There's a letter from the women MT, their madam, a different political persuasion, where they were concerned about what they described as outdated colonial undertones to some of the stories about her. As women members of parliament from all backgrounds, we stand with you in saying it cannot be allowed to go unchallenged. And this is what I'm saying. Like they said, 72 women from Parliament, the British Parliament, came out and said something. And what did the Buckingham Palace say? Zilch, nada, completely nothing. And you're like, wait a second. These are the people. First of all, your family members, and second of all, this is the business that you're in. Why are you not jumping in and starting to say some stuff here? You know, it's just, bro. I'm just totally astounded by the story. Totally, completely.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
You know,
And but I mean, ultimately things became more about what the father said, basically saying that this is someone possibly not worthy of Harry, and ultimately, with two kids, and no matter how it ends up, or if it ends up where they do separate, it's not about that. It's like giving them the time to figure it out and try to make a go of it, because it's hard enough to stay married. And even Charles and Diana, they didn't, they weren't able to keep it going, but we had the two boys, and Now they're men. And that's the ultimate thing to remember. And that's the thing that you don't want them to break up, but you don't force them to be in a place where it's like, well, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. And to, it's at this time you could see, definitely see, she like, she's in the pregnancy. You can see it in her face. It's a time where she shouldn't be stressed out about
I,
something.
I totally agree. I mean, she had a miscarriage earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
last year, and now, like I'm thinking like what the Queen was going on. So here I wanted to share with you also the popularity of the royals here in the U.S. Right. So, can you see the graph
Yes.
by YouGov? This is not like the best scientific, but it's a general thing. People are use they use these things. They've been doing it for a while. Um, there's an error of like 4.4%. So of course the Queen is favored 68%. She has very low unfavorable ratings at 14. You got Prince William, of course, is popular, 66%. Then you have Kate Middleton, his wife, who's popular.
That's the rear of the year. She won it one of those times, in between the times that Carol Vorderman
No,
got
that was her sister, I believe.
it. Huh? You saying Kate Middleton got it? Did her sister got it?
Her sister
She
got it.
didn't get it one of those years?
Yeah, it was a sister. And then you have Prince Harry. He was 62, so he's not that far off. And then Megan, you have actually, if you do one, two, three, four, five, she's at 57%, at least in the States. But she has high negatives at 29.
The
Prince
third
Charles, he's
negative.
all the way down at 34% here in the States.
Well, I mean, come on. In the States, they're never going to forgive him for,
For Diana, exactly. So that is
yeah.
like, wow. You're like, holy crap, you know. And
Which
well,
one went to the pedo island? Was it?
the last one at 26% right here, you know. So
Uh,
figure,
I mean, but they don't have the thing is like, they got real dirt, but they keep showing that dumb picture where he's standing next to the person. You can't really say anything. That just shows they were in the same room. It doesn't mean he went through those things. But that means, since that person is saying this stuff, they have worse pictures. So show us the worst pictures, but they don't want to do that yet. So Anyway,
yeah, I mean, it is what it is here, you know. But I mean, of course, in UK, it's a total different spin on it. Like who's popular and who's not. Let me show you this one right now.
okay.
Based on YouGov, the same country, the same group we're using. You know, and just to show you how different people are there, and of course, it probably matters a bit more there. So the most popular person, which I kind of think is not, but this is what they have down. Prince William is more popular than his grandmother, the Duchess, Queen Elizabeth II, at 75 and 73%. Then you have the Duchess, his wife at 67, the one that made her cry, and then Princess Anne, which of course the crown didn't make her look too good, and then Prince Philip at 49%. And so I think the granddaughter, then Prince Charles at 7, Prince Harry at 41. The British press has done a serious damage to them, and of course, if you go all the way down to number 11 for Meghan at 32, so which is still better than some of the others. Prince Andrew
And
still at 6%, huh?
the Duke of York is sitting there on the bottom.
But he's still 6%. I mean, he's still bad. He's worse in England than he is in the U.S. because they've been slamming him. But they don't push this stuff up. I mean, it's just amazing, bro. Frigging amazing. It's like, I mean, I watched the whole Crown by accident, and I was like shocked. I
By
didn't.
accident.
I thought it was all. I'll tell you right now. I thought it was all fake. But after hearing some of this stuff, I got like, yo, this bananas,
Yeah.
bananas. Again, they need to hire a marketing, a PR company. One of those Hollywood guys, spin doctors, to get this thing taken care of. And now they want to bring up bullying charges against her. On that list I showed you, you're trying to tell me no one else here
What
on this,
charges they want to bring up against her?
she got people fired and stuff like that. You're trying to tell me of all these royals, none of them were treating other people badly? I mean, Princess Anne, I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying that you're trying to tell me after all these years, the newbie comes in and she just starts cracking eggs left and right. None of these other people have done it. And there's a lot more than this in the royal family. This is just some of the ones here. You know. So I don't know. It's just crazy. And Prince Charles doesn't do himself any favors. Yeah, you're telling me seriously, Prince Charles is more popular than Prince Harry? This is the dude who practically left his wife for for someone else. You know what I'm trying to say? And who in the states they hate him because they think he directly contributed to Diana's death, which I don't think is the case. But they did break up. Boy, all I gotta say is, Goonie Goo Goo, what the heck is going on? These guys were superheroes. It would be, I, the Justice League will be out of business by now, right?
Well, the other thing is, what is it? The idea that Kate, they said that Megan made Kate cry, and she's like, no, it was the reverse.
Yeah, I know. But
So
that's
it's,
the lying stories, bro.
mm,
Lying story. And how can you not protect someone if this is true? But you see, again, they're gonna start doing an investigation on her on bullying. Let's say it's true, but then what about the rest of them? No one else. It's just until she came to that family, no one else bullied anybody. I can't imagine. Supposedly, I've heard stories. I mean, now that I've been going through down this rabbit hole of stuff, that Prince Andrew was pretty bad. Princess Anne, supposedly, this is what they said, was pretty bad. I don't know. It's like bananas. They're just trying to hit back on her really hard, and whoever's running their PR stuff doesn't know what the hell they're doing. You know, they just found that, oh, she's just an ungrateful person, and that you know, she needs to do some. She needs to get over it.
yeah,
I mean, I say that if you ask me what they should do, cut the government springs on that. Don't pay them no money. Let them be the royals on their own. You know, but the government doesn't want them talking, having opinions. Their opinions can only be from the government. They don't want them having any opinions. You know, but if you cut the $93 million they get, then they're super rich. What are you talking about? Let them charge tourists to come to Buckingham Palace, right? You know, if the government wants to take over that stuff because they're saying it's government property, then go to your old palace. People are going to come to England to see him anyways. Charge, like $20 a pop or whatever. Who knows?
yeah. I mean, it was a tough one, and it felt like Oprah was trying to sort of ask the questions that kind of put the blame on Meghan, but she held up. She tried to get them to out whoever said she might have a black baby. You know, I'm trying to out that person, but she held strong. And I think that's the thing. You can't. There's no way. That's always what I feel is a racial reminder, which is not nice, and it's kind of the bully thing, but it's not something that I think is actionable. But social media is actionable, so it could turn into a big thing where someone is that rating is going to take them down, down, down.
But you see, the ratings right now for the UK is different from what it is in the United States.
Hmm.
Let's say, um, I mean, let's be serious too. Megan is embarking on a whole new life, her and her husband, and so getting this type of publicity the same way that Diana also spoke out after she left the royal family and talked about stuff made her even more popular. You know, I know that's cynical, but you got to take it from both sides. They both were trying to protect themselves. I think
I'm gonna
Megan.
put a pause on that one to take it from both sides. I'm gonna put a pause on that one.
Take it from both sides. I don't get what you're talking
You said that's what you said. You said he had to take it from both sides. So
about. Royal family side
I'm
and
gonna put a pause on that. Like when you say pause, I'm saying pause. You don't know the pause game? Take it from both sides.
no, I don't know the pause
Oh,
games.
let's keep move on. Move on.
Why do you go all extemporaneous on us on these type of things sometimes? Stick to the script, bro. Yeah. Look, I think look, the interview was pretty good. Oprah did a pretty good interview. There were some questions that couldn't be answered because they're probably too personal, too close, and so they didn't give those. But I guarantee it looks as though they may have ammunition if they want. They have letters, like I said, emails and calls and discussions with people that they had. She clearly told her friends, and he clearly has spoken to the people through. So again, I just still don't understand even why it's even going through. I mean, you she was the perfect person to use. I mean, like Grace Kelly, she goes over to Monaco. I know she had a hard time there, and I assume, but she's toughed it out. She made it work. I'm trying to say they made it work for her too. You know, the glitz and
Yeah.
glamour of Hollywood coming over to Monaco. But here is like, it was just too much. Is it obvious it's racism? Is it obvious it's just that they're just out of touch, especially after the whole Diana fiasco? I don't know. It's
Well,
just
that is that. I mean, that's what the thing. That's the hard part. That's what racism is where you have one where I know they're on, on Kate Middleton's back, but they weren't kind of saying she's causing, she wants the queen to be, hung out the window from her feet, like stuff like that, just sensationalism. That sort of, I mean, the basic treat difference in treatment is where it's, I guess it can't be called subtle, but that's what it is. And since we don't get to see it, because that's the difference of people. When you don't have, that's what Harry was kind of saying. None of it would come up because they ultimately had no issue with black people until you have someone in there every day. And then you're like saying, hey, I should ask this dumb question. I should react to this. Hey, why is she doing that? You know what? She not come from royalty. So we're gonna have to kind of teach her how to do this. And the press, and this is basically like trying to do like, it takes a village to keep this chick in line type of deal. And it's like, she's a person of her own mind, and why would she? That's what the whole point of him getting connecting with this person outside of the loop, instead of sort of a planned arranged thing where they just come and show out and have kids. This is a regular relationship. So
is
but
it
I think,
is it
huh?
really? I mean, I kind of felt that he wanted to get out, and so he found someone who was outside. And come on, you're trying to tell me he didn't think about, like, she is so outside the norm of the royal family. It's a pretty insular world that they live in. They deal with the same people with titles, people who know this world, people who know how to move around this world. Even what Kate, I was reading something that she went to these Tony private schools like he did, so like her brother didn't. So that's how she got around with those, even though she wasn't necessarily titled like those, and she had money. And here you have, I mean, you can make changes. Even Diana, who was, I think her brother was an earl. Her family was part of that whole thing, and yet she found it difficult to deal with. She was so young, so inexperienced, and so no training again. But I think for me, it looks to me that he's still handling issues from his mother's passing. I'm trying to say, and he looked at this as an opportunity to come out. Whether he prepared her, it didn't seem as though she was prepared. To what kind of madness this would be. It you know, like he said before, they were together, all the time. Like most people go out and date. And I think he did in James Corden interview that he had when he was on the bus, the double decker bus. He says how I work with them is that most people go out and date, go in restaurants and go to movies and stuff like that. Not them; they have to do it inside, and so you get to know someone better when you're just you two privately dealing with each other. But then when you go out to this whole thing, when you're introduced, you're now his girlfriend, everybody's going to be throwing pot shots and stuff like that. So it's pretty sad. But I wanted to show you something real quick before I another thing. This is the Daily Mail, right? One of the papers that she just won a case, and about them, the story, some of those stories that they did. They took her father's writing, her private letters to her father, and had the invasion of privacy. They've written some pretty nasty stories about her. But what I wanted to show you is that they, of course, they talk about the
Well,
interview.
let's slow down for a second, because we have an example of what's going on here. Can you go back up to the top? Like, this is what they lead with.
Yeah, I wanted to kill myself. You see how they spin it? It's like there's so much other things. You know, Oprah interview bombshells. Meghan claimed she was suicidal when she was 5 months pregnant. Kate,
Claims, these phrases that they use. Megan makes sensational claims.
I know. It's
It's
just,
like,
listen. I got to get ready to wrap this up. But I wanted to show you one story too, in particular. When you go down here, um, that they're already putting spin on it, and they're saying, where is this thing here? Saw it a couple of minutes ago. Here. So you have the royal experts, right? These guys are saying self-indulgent, selfish Harry and Meghan, as they say, Queen will be absolutely devastated by the astonishing Oprah interview. Like what the goo? They put down Cry Me a River, the plight of being a game show host who's suffering in a palace with Oprah on speed dial with Beth. I mean, come on, man. It's like, why are you slamming her? British viewers call on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to be stripped of their titles for being disrespectful to the Queen or bombshell Oprah. Like, what world are these guys living in? Did you find it? I didn't find it. I didn't find it at all disrespectful. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's
Yeah, it's one of those things where you see this sort of thing happening, and how do you fight against it? How do you stop that sort of nonsense where they're already saying claim witness, just like, we know what the press was like, so we can't sit around and act like, oh, they just had they showed the press the stuff that they were being said about them. They need to say something to say how they're unbiased, rather than what they're doing, which is just saying, hey, these are claims, and that's, I mean, I don't know. The thing is that there's nothing ingenuous about what she was saying. It seemed, like this was something that she was going through. They need to say, if that's the case, pull out their proof, but all they have is a sensationalism. So they're gonna try to fight back against it, and it's just wrong.
I know. But
In
bro,
my
it's a long night. Gotta head it out. We need to wrap it out. Last question I have for you is: do you think it was a good interview?
Yeah, it definitely was.
Definitely was.
So it's a good interview. You know, but the hard part is that she's an actress, so you go into it saying, well, how much is this an act, and how much is this real? And you know, it felt like this was what she was going through, and she ultimately didn't want to have to say that she was suicidal, but she kind of felt trapped. And when you struggle with that, that's what it could lead to. So
Yeah, I think so too. I think it felt very real, felt very raw. It felt, I mean, you're right. That whole thing with the actress, she putting on a show for us, but there were just so many things. Like it's just so embarrassing. Like, why would you say some of the things that you're saying if it wasn't?
mhm.
I mean, we got to understand. California lifestyle is a little different than other places and stuff. But I also understand that you get into a situation and you really don't want to talk about what's really going on. And but I give it, you in this world, life is short, and you got to be happy. You know,
Yeah,
things don't work out. Sometimes they just don't work out, but you got to be happy. And it's a shame that it's also your family. You want to always try to work with your family, and she's gotten it from her father and his side of the family, and you got the whole thing from now. His Harry's had to deal with some of the stuff from his family, so it's pretty rough, bro.
well, that's why they call them outlaws. I mean, in-laws.
So listen, Spinner Rack.
Out.